You mentioned something about Maisel. Do you at any point go, hey, you should consider Rachel for Lois?
Oh, it was a little bit the other way around. What happened was, James said he had auditioned her and said her that her audition was just obviously spectacular.
Yeah.
And he told me that, and I was able to tell him I worked with her very briefly and thought that not only was her work excellent, but she seemed really cool. And I hope I'm not. I don't think it's a secret that James does, like, because he's talked about it. He does like very deep vetting of
he's talked about
actors because he wants to make sure they're nice people in addition to being, and that they're hardworking people in addition to being good actors. It's one of the reasons why his sets run smoothly and why it's, I think his jobs, his movies for the most part are really fun to work on because people are super prepared and because people are nice to one another and they don't tolerate some of the Hollywood bullshit you get with other people.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I said, she's great. And I said, I can also, I can also ask my friends who have worked with her for recommendation. What do they think? And she got the most glowing. I mean, Amy gave Rachel the most glowing recommendation you could possibly give an actor about how after doing, after years of what I'm sure was a hard shoot on Maisel, that just what a professional and what a joy of a performer she has to work with. So I passed that along to James, and he's like, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but it's like it's still going to be about the screen test and about the work. But he's like, that's good to know that she's also an awesome person.
It's also refreshing to know that he looks for that type of stuff on the set, right? And I can tell you that I'm at the Critics' Choice Awards. I can't remember what year it was, but I had an opportunity to meet her, and I was talking to her because I had done stand-up for a very long time. And I was talking to her about stand-up and on the side, and she was just it was like after the show, she was just so welcoming, sitting there having a whole conversation. We were talking about George Carlin because she had never seen Carlin at Carnegie. I'm like, oh, you got to watch that one. That's one you got to see. But we just had a really long conversation, and she was a sweetheart. I mean, look, it was one day as opposed to people working on it, but you can get a vibe from somebody if they're just like, oh yeah, and they're just kind of like shining you on. But you could tell that kind of warmth that was there. And to have that, plus you could see what she can do in Maisel with kind of being like Lois needs to be, and
totally.
You see that.
Right.
Yes.